The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
The story you're about to hear is true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Lord willing, I'm going to be starting a series of videos, small podcasts, maybe 20 minutes or less, where I'm going to talk about some true stories that occurred in the streets, mainly the mean streets of Los Angeles. And this is a story about how me, as a police officer, also known as a lesser magistrate, got to, well, there's many stories of invoking and demonstrating the doctrine of lesser magistrate in the streets. But this one here, I'm going to reveal on video. And the doctrine of lesser magistrate is a Christian doctrine that is interwoven throughout the Old and New Testament of God's Word. It is actually a doctrine that was always there, but it became made more famous by reformers in the Reformation movement. The doctrine of lesser magistrate is where a police officer or any other civil servant who is a lesser magistrate has not only the right to not enforce law that has been implemented by tyrants or that has not only the right to not enforce law, but the duty to do so. The duty to go against law or a higher magistrate that has unjust laws or unconstitutional laws, or laws actually that are against God's law, most importantly, that of unjust laws that are actually contra scriptura. Matter of fact, for instance, the lesser magistrate, a police officer, can choose to and even has the duty to resist a law by the highest Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court of the United States of America. The lesser magistrate, a police officer, can resist the law or the mandates, such as COVID nonsense, which I resisted, that comes out of the White House from the executive branch. The lesser magistrate can and even has a duty to resist the laws of the the legislative branch, such as United States Senate or United States congressional laws. We have a right or a duty as we seem fit to resist the laws of the state, or in this case, the communist governor Gavin Newsom in California, which I resisted him during COVID. We have a right and a duty, a police officer, a lesser magistrate, to resist laws from our city mayor or our county commissioners, a city government, county government, et cetera. And I'm going to tell you a story where I invoked, there's so many times I demonstrated the doctrine of lesser magistrate as a police officer. Well, this one is a really, really great story because it actually was, I was able to, I guess you can call it community-based policing, restore some reconciliation between the black community and the police department. There's always been, this incident occurred, by the way, in South Central Los Angeles. We're not supposed to say that anymore, but it's really, quite frankly, it's a ghetto. It's where Watts is. It's where prolific gang activity, the murder rate is very high. It's also the place where this happened actually during the time that the famous movie Colors with actors Robert Duvall and Sean Penn were actually in these streets filming the movie Colors, which is about the terrible relationship between the community and the police department, mainly the gangs and the police department. And so this is a sentimental story I am telling you. And so me being, I was assigned that day. Normally you never work a one-man unit, but I was assigned a U-boat assignment that day, which was a one-man unit. My job was just to go and take reports after the crimes have already occurred. Somebody comes home from a 2-week vacation and they realize their a house was broken into somewhere in that 2-week window, their things were stolen. So there's no need to send 2 police officers to that house. Or a business that was burglarized overnight, you respond to that business the next morning and take a crime report after the crime occurred. And so we did deploy U-boats, one-man units for those type of tasks. And this day, I was assigned a U-boat assignment. Right out of roll call, right out of day watch. I was driving. It doesn't matter what direction I was going. I was going westbound. I think I forget what street it was, but it was in South Central Los Angeles, and I saw this awesome full-size, large, high-end series BMW going too fast in a residential community, and the windows were tinted, all 4, and so obviously I had multiple California vehicle code violations to pull it over, and so I did. And it was a lawful traffic stop. But what I did not do is I did not put it over the air. I did not radio over the radio, the microphone, that I was making this traffic stop. I chose, in this case, which is probably unwise, tactically unsound, because what if it was a stolen car? What if it was a very dangerous situation? But over the MDT, the mobile digital terminal, this is by God's perfect providence that obviously now I see why I decided to silently stop this vehicle, but to still obey policy and to still also protect myself in case something did happen. And if I needed to hit the help button, people would know where I was because I typed in my location on the MDT, the mobile digital terminal. And so I typed in the location, T-stop, such and such, corner, black BMW, and then I ran the plate before I even stopped the vehicle. So the license plate was already in the system as well. To my surprise, a very sharply attracted black woman exited the driver's door, and she came out of the car and quickly approached me, which is a no-no. You don't do that. In a place like South Central, the police officer, you need to have control over the situation. And so I maintained control over her without handcuffing her, though. Remember, she was wearing a very not that a woman, just because she's wearing a sharp-looking business skirt, doesn't mean she's innocent. But she's probably not a crackhead. She's probably not a grand theft auto suspect. She's probably a professional woman going to work. And so I just asked her, "Please stand here, miss. Please just stand here." And so I start, while I'm watching her, and I can do a visual search and know she's not packing a weapon. And by the way, here in Tennessee, police officers stop you, they expect you to be armed. In California, we were trained to walk up to a car, and the first thing we'd say to the motors, "Do you have any weapons, firearms, bazookas, explosives?" I mean, it's nonsense, the anti-gun atmosphere, environment in California. And so I just asked the lady, "Please stand here, and let me just see if there's anybody else in your car." And I walked up and cleared the car visually, and now can see through the windows that there was nobody else in the front or back seat. And so, for officer safety reasons, that's important to do, especially in a place like this. I walked back to the lady. Stupid question, because she's not wearing pants, so she obviously doesn't have a wallet. I said, "Ma'am, do you have a driver's license?" "Oh, let me get it. She starts going towards that car again. "Ma'am, I'll get your driver's license." And she got extremely nervous. I says, "Please stand there again." So I'm watching her. I open the driver's door. I see her purse right there. And before I even grab her purse, as I'm leaning in, now I'm a little jealous because LAPD has always been not understaffed, but undergunned. The type of weapons that we carried, and especially the politically correct ammunition that we were required to carry, all I had was a .38 caliber wheel gun, stainless steel Smith & Wesson 6-inch barrel with 38 rounds. Almost, I call them like dud rounds. They're basically not much better than target ammunition. And that's what we were only able to carry in patrol at that time. And so I see this beautiful stainless steel as I'm reaching in to get her purse, right there on top of it, right there on the top, this beautiful stainless steel, blue steel semi-automatic handgun. I thought, man, she was going for a gun. But no. She didn't want me to see a gun. She had a firearm in her car. Now in California, that's a no-no if you don't have a permit. And it's very hard to get a permit in California. And so I took the firearm, slid the chamber back, unchambered the round, popped out the magazine, left the magazine and the round in the car, went back towards her with her purse and with her handgun. And she's like, please don't arrest me. Oh, she was so scared. I said, obviously, you don't have a permit for this, right, ma'am? She says, no. And I says, miss, is this your gun? And she says, yes. And so I went into the police car. I didn't even handcuff this lady yet. Went into the police car. She's not going to run very far. She's wearing spike high heels in a tight skirt. So it's like chasing a gangbanger with baggy pants. The pants will fall down. Her tight skirt would have kept her from running too far. And so while keeping an eye on her, I ran the serial number on the MDT. Again, I did this quietly because nobody is hearing. No other police cars are hearing that I'm actually running a gun. Usually you run the gun over the radio, over the air, just to tell other police officers I got a gun, And I did it silently on the MDT, ran the serial number, and it came back not stolen. It came back registered to her, because the vehicle, by the way, was not an unreported stolen. It was registered to her. I've got her driver's license, which is hers. The gun is registered to her. The lady was legally owned the firearm, but she was violating multiple laws by carrying it in her motor vehicle and by carrying it concealed and loaded. Multiple firearm violations. A majority, probably I use this number a lot, 95% of police officers would have arrested her in a New York minute. And I talked to the lady a little bit longer, and I told her, miss, I don't blame you, because you're a walking DR number. She says, what's that? I says, well, a DR number is the case number that we put on a police report or an arrest report. She's a walking victim. She's a walking carjacking victim, robbery victim, a walking rape victim, or worse, a walking murder victim, because carjackings and murders were very popular in this division at that time, and they still are today. And so she's a walking crime number, a walking DR number, a walking victim. She's a crime waiting to happen, driving this car in this neighborhood. And so I invoked the Doctrine of Lesser Magistrate. I told her, ma'am, you have, in my opinion, this is not the department policy, this is not state law, but I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe in the right to bear arms, and I'm going to not arrest you. I'm going to let you go. I'm not even going to give you a ticket for speeding or for the tinted windows. And she was so shocked. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. She couldn't thank me enough. And what was special about this moment was it was an opportunity to reconcile a torn-up relationship between the black community and the police department, specifically a white police officer. Now, if I was assigned with a partner that day, which is almost 99% of the time you have a partner, there might have been a dispute between me and my partner, whether she goes to jail or not. Probably, unfortunately, she probably would have gone to jail. The California law says it's a crime and she's a criminal, therefore you shall arrest her. But what I didn't violate the law. I chose, by invoking the Doctrine of Lesser Magistrate, to invoke my responsibility and duty to not enforce the law. And that was many, many incidents like that. Of course, there's many guns I've got off the street and arrested people, but I have no doubt that this woman was not about to commit a crime, and nor was she a criminal. Okay, now the next story I'm going to share is going to be rated R for graphic imagery, rated R for violence. It's about invoking the doctrine of interposition. Lord willing, I'm going to do a video about how I interposed between a rape in progress. It was a bloody mess.